What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming at you today with a card discussion from a new card coming out in Raging Tempest in next year. That is card that's got me very excited. That is Wightprincess. So this card was announced basically when I was in Canada, and I couldn't contain my excitement. I was just like, oh dear God, they've done a card that is absolutely incredible for this archetype. So if you don't know what it is, a few people have spoken about it, including Mega Capital G, and some people have kind of skipped over a couple of interesting effects that they've just put to one side, mainly because people don't understand how the deck fully runs, and I personally think I know very well how the deck runs, so without further ado we'll go straight into it and I'll break the card down. It is a light zombie type effect monster, level 3 with 1600 attack and 0 defense. Its effect reads as follows. This card's name becomes Skull Servant in the graveyard. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one White Prince from your deck to the graveyard. During either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Each face-up monster currently on the field loses attack and defense equal to its own level/rank times 300 until the end of this turn. Wow. This actually plugs some interesting holes that the deck has. So first off, the first effect is that it counts as a Skull Servant. Some people might say, well that's pretty standard, but that's actually really ridiculous for its second effect. When it is normal or special summoned, you can send a White Prince from your deck to the graveyard. Then you trigger White Prince's effect, being able to send a Lady in the White and a Skull Servant from your deck or hand to the graveyard. So when you couple in the third effect, which I'll get to very soon, you contribute it or send it from your hand to the graveyard, it means you have loaded your graveyard with 4 Skull Servant names. But I want to backtrack. Let's break every single effect down and explain how it works. The fact that when it's normal or special summoned, you can send a White Prince from the deck to the graveyard. Some things to note, this isn't a once per turn effect. You can constantly abuse this with things like Mizuki. So for example, with this and Mizuki, you send 6 cards to the graveyard. In the fact that if you've got Mizuki in grave, you go, okay, summon White Princess, activate the effect, send 3. Tribute it, lower the attack and defense of all monsters on the field. Then, Mizuki, bring it back, activate it again. Then, you can just use White Prince's effect, banish itself and 2 others to bring out a king from the deck. Then you can activate White Princess's effect again, send to the graveyard, and then your king is on 4k just from 2 cards. It's absolutely incredible that. I really think it is really strong effect. The problem with Skull Servants when Mathematician got hit was that it lost a bit of speed in getting cards into the graveyard. The main cards that Skull Servants, personally, that I use to get White Prince and Mizukis and different things like that into the graveyard are Uni-Zombie, Mathematician, if people want, Foolish Burial, and different things like that. Now we have a basically third main card that we can main to get cards back into the graveyard very, very quickly. But let's talk about the third effect. The third effect that says you can send it from your hand to the graveyard, or you can send it from the field to the graveyard to reduce the attack and defense of every monster on the field by its level or rank by 300. That is really good. Not a lot of people think, oh well, it's by 300, it's every card on the field including your own, so it's not that great. What people don't realize is when you're playing Skull Servants, yes, you have access to things like Omega, to avoid Ogre Dragons, those big synchros, but your main aim in the game is to get King of Skull Servant on the field and swing as hard as you can. The deck can OTK, trust me, I know. I play this deck a lot and have for a very long time. This deck's main focus is King of the Skull Servant. If you take the second most important boss monster of the deck, which is Psyframe Omega, Omega can dodge the effect. White Princess doesn't say that the attack and defense reduction lasts even if the card leaves the field, because it's only until the end of the turn. So, by chance, you can just banish Omega if you really want, activate its effect, and then, it dodges the whole thing. Especially if, for example, you use it in your opponent's turn and then your opponent summons another monster to try and ram over. Doesn't matter. But King only goes down by 300, which is going to be absolutely nothing, considering your King of Skull Servant is probably going to be on plus 3000 attack. The very interesting combo with this card is that it is a light monster. It is the first Skull Servant archetyped card that is a light monster, and I think that's really interesting because it opens up a whole new ounce of plays basically, because if Brilliant Fusion is still a thing around that time, you can use Brilliant Fusion with this card. So it's a really important thing to know and not to forget. But let's also talk about the attack. 1600 attack for a level 3 is pretty goddamn good. It's the highest base attack that any Skull Servant has in this archetype. Everything basically has 0/0 apart from Lady in the White that has a 2200 defense but 0 attack. That 2200 defense, by the way, more important than you might think. Being a level 3 means that you can go into rank 3 plays, which is actually very good as well, because you can go into things like Levier, which is very important, Breaksword, and everything like that. The rank 3 pool is actually pretty decent, and it actually warrants me to be like, okay, I have more than 2 level 3s in the deck now, which is Unizombie and Lady in the White, and Unizombie more often than not won't stay as a level 3. It means that I can use Leviers a lot more often now, which is pretty important because you can just, for example, allure, get rid of the king and then bring it back. For me, this card means that White Prince goes to 3 in the deck. It kind of has to be because you can abuse it so quickly. The chances of you running into a Unizombie, into a Mathematician if you are playing it, a Foolish Burial, or a White Princess before you get into a White Prince is actually very high. And I'm really looking forward to the fact that this card's coming out, and I cannot wait. The prolificness of this deck has just shot up in my opinion, because everyone's really hyped at the fact that there is another card that does something like Unizombie, but all it's doing is dumping White Prince into the graveyard. That's all you need. Things like Miracle Dig might actually become more of a thing now in these decks, because you'll be banishing more cards more often if you are running the 3 White Prince. So that's kind of what I think about the card. It's absolutely amazing. I really do love it, but it does open up possible future cards that could come out. For example, a White Knight. I really like the name of that. Just think, a White Knight sounds like a really cool thing. The one thing that Skull Servants are missing, in my opinion, is protection from effect monsters. You have Lady in the White that protects your level 3 or lower zombies from destruction in battle, except herself, as well as protects it from spell and trap cards. They are unaffected by spell and trap cards. That's why it's very important if your opponent has back row to get Lady in the White out as quickly as possible before you start making your plays. The amount of times I've got Lady in the White out and summon a Unizombie, activates effect to increase the level of something else, and they try and stop it, it's pretty funny. Having something that will stop monster negation or protect it from monster negation in some way, shape or form would be really nice. Until then, we have Effect Veilers. It would be nice to see the archetype kind of rounding off, and it's nice to see that they haven't forgotten about it. If you are interested in the archetype and do want to pick it up before White Princess comes out, I would advise you to do it very soon, because Skull Servants are actually fairly pricey for commons. White Mare is actually like a £5 card. Lady in the White is also about the same, so it's kind of difficult to get them. And White Prince was also a short print in its set, so you might want to pick them up quite soon. So I want to know what you guys think of White Princess. Do you think it's a really good card, or do you just think it's not actually going to do anything for the archetype? So I'd say let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.